Hi, I should start with an apology. The video I made last year about taking a new path was a little bit misleading, as many of you thought I would completely stop making Eurobeat. That was not my intention, but I guess I have to explain the situation I was in a little further. I made that video in the middle of the COVID pandemic, which for me was, like for many of you, not a great time at all. During the lockdowns, we had 4 kids at home, which would normally be at school or daycare. So there was not much time for being creative. In 2019, we moved to another town, and I also haven't had the chance yet to get familiar with the place I live in now and the people and opportunities here. COVID really ruined all the plans I had. And while I was unable to make music, a lot of people took the opportunity to start doing more creative stuff. This is of course a good thing generally, but at that time it caused depression in me. Because I was unable to participate, feeling left out, not knowing if I ever will fit in again. And as I said before, the result of more than 5 years of YouTube activity with many Eurobeat covers felt unrewarding. So the motivation was pretty low at that point. But I never intended to totally quit Eurobeat. I just needed to start putting out new covers on a schedule like I did before. And this will still not likely happen again, but I will put out a lot of new music, of which most will be original music, and there will be more Eurobeat covers from time to time. I want to have at least 5 volumes of Eurobeat covers. I will start working on the mix for Eurobeat covers volume 3 soon, followed by Eurobeat covers volume 4, and I still have to write quite a few songs for volume 5. And I also plan on finishing my second album with original songs. Other than that, I have no concrete plans for Eurobeat at the moment, but inspiration can strike me at any time. I revived my Patreon and also enabled YouTube memberships. Your support would really help me a lot and enable me to put out a lot of new stuff. And Patreon will give you access to all of my songs for download as well as instrumental and a cappella versions. YouTube memberships gives you early access to new videos. If you can't support me financially, you can still help me spread my music. Be sure to hit the notification bell on my channel, as early views on new videos generally help to boost the algorithms. Liking and commenting also helps a lot. Thanks to all of you in advance. Okay, now it's time to reply to some of your comments. Looks like I picked the perfect time to check back on your channel. It's always nice to see how varied Eurobeat can be while still being clearly recognizable as Eurobeat. Yeah, I do love to make things a bit different. There's the standard Eurobeat formula with a certain structure of a song and certain elements that have to be in a certain way, like from the 4 bass drum, offbeat bass lines, a synth hook and a chorus that both figure as a climax. So I found out that in order to do something different, it is helpful to be aware of all the elements that make Eurobeat Eurobeat, and if you change one of those elements, it's important for the others to be as usual. So if you use an unusual instrument for the hook melody, be sure the rest sounds very Eurobeatish. If you use a different song structure, for example a song that doesn't have a chorus, be sure the hook works great. I can also make a video in which I go into detail with some of my songs as examples, when I find the time to do that. Hey, nice to see you again. By the way, what do you use for Eurobeat? Synth, effects, hardware, software? My DAW is Nuendo, and it's a complete overkill for Eurobeat alone. I use it since I also like to do orchestral stuff, post-production and so on. Any DAW is perfectly fine for making Eurobeat. I don't use hardware synths for the simple reason that I can't afford them, and I don't miss them too much since working with VSTIs is a lot more comfortable. I even sold my DX7 because DEX is a perfect emulation, which is by the way not difficult since it's a purely digital synth. Speaking of DEX, most of the bass sounds come from DEX. FM basses are most of the times the perfect bass sound for Eurobeat, at least for the offbeat bass. I use a lot of different drum samples. I always try to find some that fit the song. The lead synth come from different sources. I use the synth from Reason a lot, especially Thor, but since I discovered the open source synth Odin 2, I tend to use it more often as it has a similar concept. I use the Korg collection, samples from East West and UVI, Air Vacuum Pro, Steinberg Retrologue and Halion, Tone 2 Gladiator and a few more, but rather occasionally. For effects, I almost only used stock plugins until last year. The only exception was Voxengo Elephant for limiting. But I think after 22 years of using stock, it would be about time to try something new. So now I use stuff from Analog Obsession, IK Multimedia, T-Rex and Mixbox. Plugin Alliance, their subscription model at least gives you vouchers to get the plugins forever. Mac DSP, they don't have the fanciest marketing, but are used a lot by professionals. And Waves, most of their rather old plugins are still amazing. Please do a karaoke version. I guess a karaoke video for Mercy Twingo is really appropriate, since it's by far my most successful song. But I never made videos with timed lyrics, so I have to figure out how to do it. You are in the streets, but omelette de fromage in the sheets. What the hell does the second part mean? Is this even grammatically correct? I thought it is au fromage, huh? You deserve great success. I was depleted studying algorithms the whole summer. I thought I am too old for this. When I heard this masterpiece, I was reawakened. First of all, thank you. I have still hopes that the success will come. And yes, au fromage is correct. But the incorrect form has become a meme. And for the meaning, I guess that's up to everyone's own imagination. Laughing my ass off, I can relate to this. I've always been a sort of boring, uncomfortable person who generally doesn't like these things. So I have a feeling this is how most people react to it, lol. Nice stuff as usual. Love the vibe of this. You can feel a lot of personality in Jackie Space's voice and lyrics, and I adore that. I'm very glad to see that Jackie's personality come through. I had a rather vague idea of her in the beginning, inspired by Fi and Midna from the Legend of Zelda series, but more in a sci-fi alien way. I still have no visuals for her, unfortunately. It was so fire until you sang, damn you, because then it was fire and flames. One of your best sounding lead guitars. I think it's amazing how you produce and play every instrument yourself. Only thing, if I may, specifically when you have the intro to a song with only rhythm guitar, it feels like you don't get the timing quite right, although it's more of a detail and I wouldn't point it out if everything else wasn't so great and well made. So there's definitely something off in the intro of the Power Rangers cover. I didn't open the project again yet, but from what I remember, there was also something with the bass. But since it was only in the intro, it may have to do with the drums. I played everything to a click, but the drums were a pattern I used, and my guess is that there's some kind of humanization in that MIDI pattern that doesn't work together with my playing. I will definitely fix that for the final mix for one of the next Eurobeat cover volumes. I be one of the very few Dutch people to say this, but my guy, your pronunciation is so good, not just with Japanese, but also your German. And I will not read the Dutch part because I can't speak Dutch and it will sound ridiculous. Das mit meiner deutschen Aussprache liegt daran, dass ich in Deutschland aufgewachsen bin. Unfortunately, one can hear it in my accent when I speak English and French, but not when I'm singing it, at least. Before I come to an end, I would also like to thank the guys from the Twingo Discord server who joined my Discord server earlier this year and gave a lot of emotional support during the difficult times I went through. So thanks a lot for that. See you all soon. Bye bye.